Hello, everybody. Can y'all hear me good? Everybody can see me. Can everybody see me? Wait for Brother Kilelle to get here. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everybody. Um, Archer, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you loud and clear, sis.
Oh, thank you. Right. Wait for Kilelle. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. And I'm so excited about this. I have all my information that he provided for me, and plus some other information to learn about these numbers and what it means to us and how it affects our lives, our daily lives, and how we actually been dealing with numbers since inception, right? Um, I'm gonna add my material that I use is gonna be added to the group. Any books that I reference, so everybody can make sure they have it. Hi, Claire, I'm gonna bring you on. Okay. Claire, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I've been waiting on you. What
How
did you
are
think
you?
about my what did you think about my music selection?
I think it's magnificent and extremely telling. I graduated from high school in 1999, so that song choice is very nostalgic for me.
Well, I wanted to get in here and make sure give everybody time to get on and listen to the songs. And the book that I have that I will be referencing this evening is The Complete Book of Numbers by the Complete Book of Numbers, The Power of Number Symbols to Shape Reality by Stephen Scott Pither. And of course, my grimoire that you did for me, my numerical breakdown for myself, and the life you were born to live, the guide to finding your life purpose based on your um, numbers, based on your numbers. So we'll go into that detail. I'll let you start out by waiting for everybody to get here for. And I want you to introduce yourself and tell everybody about you, especially the origins of your name. That's too cool. So I want everybody to be able to hear that as well.
Yes, ma'am. Most definitely. These are very good book choices, by the way.
Huh?
I said very good book choices, by the way.
Oh, thank you. You probably know both of them, right?
I know one more than the
This
other,
one? This
but
one?
yeah, that one I think I have it in the library. I haven't touched it since maybe the 90s, but
Okay.
or maybe
Okay.
the early 2000s. Yes, that is a classic. That one I do have.
Okay.
Um, you want to stay abreast because there are so many different systems. Um, Especially in terms of the actual science, because it's so easy and it's so convenient these days for people to download the Gematria calculator or go to a popular website where it essentially does a lot of the work for you, and that's cool, especially in a pinch or you're trying to save some time, but to actually understand the names, where they come from, how they're still being kind of played with, um, called certain different things by different people, it can be very confusing, especially if someone is new to this. So it'll be, it's always imperative to understand the systems where you utilize it.
Mm-hmm. Zach, so what would you recommend as a beginners book for numerology?
Wow, that's a good question. One off the rip, the first one that comes to mind is numerology and the divine triangle. Um, that one, it lays it out in a way. Actually, you know what? If I want to be completely honest, I would say Numbers and You by Lloyd Strayhorn.
Okay.
Um, he is the grand master of numerology for myself. He's been
Mhm.
doing it since I've seen him on television since I was a child doing numerology. And
Okay.
his books are magnificent. His classes are phenomenal. He's very straightforward. He's very much in his one life path leadership, and it makes it easily conveyable. They're very easy to pick up. You don't have to overcomplicate things. There's a reason why the majority of the world, especially here in the West, hates mathematics. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And
Mhm.
it's very odd when you think about it because I don't know anybody who doesn't want more money. You
Right.
know, I don't know anybody who doesn't want more zeros. Nobody wants to be a zero. You know, so but nobody likes math. And just like certain veins of information, you know, we have this thing we call consciousness or woke or whatever term fits. Um, it becomes a way to kind of massage the science away to make it smoother, and that really can't be allowed. We have to call things as they are, or at least as they're respected in the world. So I don't want to go off on a complete tangent.
Well, I'm glad you came. I'm glad I got this time to speak with you. And I want to go back a little bit and just you introduce yourself and tell us about you and how you got into learning about numbers.
Most definitely. First and foremost, thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor to be
Sure.
here. My name is Kilelle Kiano, aka Konami Codes. I use Gematria, numerology, Eastern and Western astrology, gene keys, astrocartography, cardology, tarot, a host of occult practices in order to read for people, in order to help you see reflections of yourself, to help you make it that much faster of a journey to your center. It's something I very much enjoy doing. My grandfather he was a great many things, but he was a numerologist. Um, he used to play the 3 digit and 4 digit 3 and 4 times a week, and he would win 3 and 4 times a week to the point where um, I thought it was just normal. Um, he was the oldest of nine, born in 1919, and he dropped out of school in like the fourth grade to help work and provide for the family. He was the smartest man I've ever known, but he could barely read a newspaper. But he could discern things faster than anybody I've ever seen, aside from one of my teachers later in life.
Mhm.
Um, I studied at an early age to be a pastor. I went to seminary school, I went to private school. I was very much immersed in the supposed word of God or the gospel. And I noticed numerology at a very early age, but you get in trouble for asking certain questions. By the age of 16, I was on to other things. I was hitting growth spurts. I was playing football. I was good at it. So I walked away from the ministry. I came back to numerology later in life. Um, I went to prison for drugs and guns when I was 28, the end of a very powerful cycle. And I learned gematria in prison from a man who could barely read. Um, and it changed my life. I've had many run ins with mediums, with psychics, empaths, whatever term we like to use, and I want to make it very clear, we are all of these things. These are just different aspects of your personality. That's what the zodiac is actually trying to convey to you. But it came to a point where he asked me what my name was, and my name is rather unique. My father has Kenyan ancestry, and our tribe is the Kikuyu. My father had an obsession with Superman. Superman's Kryptonian name is Kal-El. So
Okay.
he took Kikuyu and Kal-El and merged them together and got Kilelle Kiano.
Okay.
Um, um, I hated my name for a very long time. Growing up, it was hard because I used to, you go to a store, you see those keychain racks, and you just know you're gonna find your name. Nah, not today. That was never the case. So I would have these moments throughout my life where I would be introduced to someone, I would meet someone for the first time, and they would say my name correctly.
Mhm.
To this day, it's a very rare thing, but I have grown to love my name. Numerology helped a great deal with that because when something is so unique, it's not necessarily reflected in the world. That can give you a bit of a questioning complex, which is understandable, but still not an excuse. It's an indicator for where the work is. So I've been essentially reading people for about maybe 16 years now,
Mhm.
and I've been having the time of my life.
Okay. Oh, great, great. I tried to share my screen with you, but it made a bad echo. Did you hear it? I was
I did
trying to
not it sounded okay to me.
I tried to share my screen with you to bring it on. I'm gonna try it again and see what happens. Oh, we got some people showing up. That's great. That is great. Let me see here. Now, y'all got to bear with me because I am still very much learning this thing here. Okay, here it is. Share screen. Did it work? Did you receive it?
I can see the other screen, but that's cool. That works.
I don't know. It just says Visa Visa. I was trying to get it to you. Oh, well, I've tried. I don't know why it was not working. Because when I put share screen, I click on your name. Is there somewhere for you to accept the sharing screen?
No, I can see it, but it doesn't give me the functionality.
Now see, now I hear bad echo.
Uh,
Okay,
is that still the case?
that's okay. That's okay. I'll figure it out another time. But anyway, um, your dad, he did a great job. But that's interesting that he knew that your dad was already conscious. He knew what he was creating. He knew. So it wasn't by mistake at all that you got that name. And we both had the same issue with we can never find our names. I've never seen Alta Visa on anything. Even or well Visa. I do see that on some novelty items. I may see Visa, but never Alta Visa on anything. So we're in the same boat when it comes to finding our names on keychains, backpacks. It don't matter. You won't find our name listed. But anyway, I'm gonna tell everybody too that I decided to bring a culturally speaking back in a way that I feel that Brother Panic would want me to. Because he was always like, before his passing, he was putting on the videos, um, listen to the new people, bring back the new people. Even though you all been in the game for a good little minute, I think that it's time that we all, get behind um, the new people and like get their voices out there. he blessed me enough with this platform to do so. So I was like, I can't let it go to waste, just sitting back and not doing anything with it. So I appreciate everybody, and I hope moving forward that more people would come and want to participate in this. But this is my pilot. This is the beginning, and I'm see how it go. I do have a pop up, Mr. Michael Bell. I will be doing a flyer for him this weekend. So he will be on this month too as well on the 28th. So I'm gonna get that flyer done and out by the weekend. So I'm looking forward to speaking with him too. And I want to give a shout out to everybody else since we're just starting as well. Want to give some more people time to get here. Um, of the roster of who I haven't seen the flyer. Um, Mr. Let me see. I'm trying to look at everybody that's here. Mental is here, y'all. My boy Mental is here.
What's up?
Um, I'm glad you're here. Um, Mental will be here on July 6th at 2 p.m. He was doing he's a psychological thriller. I look very forward to y'all hearing him, a very passionate brother. And I have his book. I advise everybody to get his book before he comes on. But if you don't, that's fine. Because he's very thorough with how he explains as how he goes through his science and what he knows. He's very knowledgeable. So I know everybody gonna enjoy talking to him and listening to him. And then we have Brother T. I met him through a lecture. He was reaching out to me in San Antonio, and he was like, I want you to bring Brother Panic out here. We never got to that point, but he reached out to me this time and wanted to come on. So I appreciate him coming. He's going to be the rebirth because he has some information he would like to share about his path and his experiences in the world of metaphysics. And he will be on July 13th at 4 p.m. Then we got Ricky Skills, When Metaphysical Meet Art. And he is a very, very gifted artist. Check his page out, y'all. Google him. He's out there. um, his website is called Life, no, lifeisyourcanvas.org. And but he'll be on Sunday, July 21st at 12. And then we have Legend Archer, the Cipher. And he will be on July 21st, 2024. And he's into some deep stuff too. I'm getting to know this brother since he reached out to me. So I'm enjoying the little conversations we have and a little texting and going back and forth. It's gonna be hot, y'all. I got some good people coming on, and I'm so excited about this. Y'all, I can hardly contain myself. So we got some more people here. I'm so happy, y'all. Thank you, Kilelle, for participating in this. And you know I struggle with your name now. If you have to correct me, correct me.
No, you good. You good. You are spot on. I want to say thank you again for the honor, especially being the inaugural pilot. That really is an honorable thing. For I know the majority of the people here, I would trust would know this little bit of history, but let me make it very, very clear for everybody who um, was a student or follower or listener of Brother Panic, especially his live lectures. Visa was the plug that made that happen. For those of
Yeah.
us who couldn't always make it to a lecture, she gave you the opportunity and the ability to tap in long before that was an actual adage, long before that was a real thing. So thank you again for the wonderful opportunity. Shout out to Mental. I have his book. It is brilliant. I'm looking forward to the next one. I'm looking forward to everybody that you have coming on, especially shout out to my big brother Michael Bell. Um, his new book, yeah, those if you don't have those two books she just showed you, you're really playing games. Um, I cannot wait for Michael Bell's latest book, The Metaphysics of Star Trek. Anybody who's a fan of
Yeah.
consciousness,
Yes.
you're gonna need that in your life. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah, I'm
trying to,
excited about that too.
you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I'm excited about that too. Like I said, y'all, man, that listen, whoever's on here right now and who's coming in later, the people I got lined up for this month it's insane. Everybody's gonna get something. Everybody. And I say that because I've got the pleasure. I feel so amazingly blessed to even speak with these men on this level. I'm learning so much. I've learned so much from Mental because I do his podcast. I'm on his podcast on Sundays at 2, Overstanding Darkness. So please join his Facebook group, Overstanding Darkness. And he has a podcast every Tuesday at 2. And he's doing another one, Car Talk. And I think that's on Thursdays at 6. Mental is at 6.
Well, it's just when we do it, we ain't really got it scheduled. We just jump on and make it happen. We used to
Okay.
have it every day, yeah, around 7 or 8, but now we just sticking with the 2 o'clock on
Okay.
Sundays.
Okay. All
We'll
right.
be sporadic.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all, I like this platform. What y'all think? I mean, I'm liking this. Well, I'm feeling this because I was trying to figure out, am I gonna do this on do the was it StreamYard on Facebook or do it through YouTube? But I think I'm liking this. And again, I'm learning the platform, y'all, just like I did with Brother Panic. Y'all, it was hard sometimes doing that webinar. I'm telling you, but we did it and I had so much fun. So that the reason why too, that leads me into saying the reason why I wanted Kilelle on for July 4th is because of numerical value and what it really means. So we can get to the root of this big holiday and what it actually means numerically and what's the importance of it or maybe the non-importance of it, right? So leading into that, can you tell us numerically? I saw you posted something in the group about the 4th of July.
Most definitely, most definitely. So it's, especially when it comes to conscious people, there's always this stigma about holidays. You don't want to just adopt a mindset. You like anything, you want to research. So I can't recommend Ishaka Musaberu Shango's books, European Holidays, volumes 1 and 2, more highly. To give you some of the origins. Now, July 4th is interesting because the paperwork was signed on July 2nd, but it didn't arrive to its destination via supposed Pony Express until July 4th. What's interesting when you go back further is the Illuminati was formed May 1st, 1776 in Bavaria, Germany. So this isn't a coincidence that this happened right before the founding of the country. Um, and you're going to note this 4 and 7, the 7 and 4 symbolism. This 11. Um, that plays into so many different facets of this country. This country turned 248 years old today. It has spent less than 15 of those years at peace. So, in other words, we spend more time at war because the powers that should not be or the government is allowed to tax people when you're at war. Other than that, it is actually illegal. This is
Mm,
why they're able to pass things like something they've been trying to do for decades. It's nothing brand new, but they just passed this bill to automatically enter 18 to 24, 25, 26 year olds into the army for the draft.
mhm,
I don't really see a lot of outrage for that, and I'm not saying that there should be, but that's something that they've been trying to do since before I was born. I'm 43. So,
mhm,
we can't act like this is something new. But the energy of today, July 4th is officially what we call an aphelion. An
mhm,
aphelion is it's a day where the earth is easier to manifest here because the the Earth is truly independent of the sun. There's a certain distance that's garnered on this day as we move back through the analema. And analema, if you were to take a picture of the sun every day at noon for a year, if it over the course of that year, you're gonna, if you laid out all those dots, you're gonna create a hourglass that's very much wider at the bottom than it is at the top. So we have to ask ourselves, well, how old is photography really? How old is this science? Because this is as old as time memorial, but pictures are supposed to be 100 to 200 years old. We know that's not the case. So a little bit of study in just one of these veins is going to take you in many directions, not just numerology. Numerology is like the source code. You know, for everybody who's familiar with the matrix and those green numbers and letters falling across the screen, that is essentially gematria. That is your junk DNA. That is
Mm,
your lines of code. That is the tunnels of set that run in your brain in the subconscious.
okay. Okay, but my thing is, what I would like to know about the numerical, I wish I could, I hope maybe I can see. I can, which you posted in the group earlier today, um, for the 4th of July. You got 13 original colonies, 13 stripes on the flag, and the number added up to the 4th of July added up to 103, and July 4th was 310. So by running these numbers, it shows a connection to points in time. Is that really what we're trying to track or correlate with, if that's the word I'm looking for?
Well, truly, that's going to be determined by what direction you want to go.
Okay.
Gematria is like a Green Lantern ring, right? A Green Lantern ring, like anybody who's familiar with that superhero from DC Comics, he has this ring that is powered by willpower, where he can
Mhm.
create any construct he sees in his head. Gematria works in much the same way. If you want to see the long count and go across days and years and weeks, you can do that. And you can see how things perfectly align. Now, you're going to have a lot of people who focus specifically on just that aspect. There's a lot of people who, you know, they try to attach the science to the Jesuits or to the powers that should not be or the Illuminati, and that's fine, but that doesn't serve us, that serves them, especially if we're assigning their signature to something that is ours. You see, so like that's automatically removing the power. And if we don't have a plan of action to attempt to stop it, then why are we talking about them? You know what I mean? Like, you know, talk about real people doing real things. So if you want to see how presidents tie in, if you want to see how, you know, how many presidents have died on July 4th, you know, that's a very interesting tidbit, a bit of
Mhm.
information. And it's something that you'll never hear about in history. So you have to understand again, numerology, people hate math. So this is essentially hidden in plain sight because who's going to pay attention? You know,
Right.
one of the reasons why I'm able to do what I do, and one of the reasons why I go about it in the way that I do, um, Telegram, as you mentioned, is a wonderful platform. I've used it to create my digital library. So I've got over 40,000 books now that you can just download for free. I include in my
Yes, yes, yes. Tell them about it. Tell them the name of it so they can get on there. Cause whew, I got so much book. Listen, I got a lot to study from. So tell everybody how they can get to your group, the name of your group.
by all means, thank you. If you go to Telegram and you type in Konami code, KUNAMIKOD, you should be able to find me. The group is open, Mystery Arcade Occult Multiversity. I typically attach membership to my lowest $3 tier on Patreon, but it's summertime The kids are out of school. People are saying they're studying. So I want to make certain things available. We shouldn't have to, feel like anyone is gatekeeping or feel like anyone doesn't walk it like they talk it. So if you're really about that business and you want some information, and I want to be clear about this. I love books. I love physical, real books. I love the smell of the paper and all that. But you can
Mhm.
always take a PDF and print it out. You know,
Mhm.
get copies of this material while you can. Fahrenheit 451 is a real thing that got remade with Michael B. Jordan. They put your face on that movie as they burn these books. It's not a game. If you don't
Mhm.
want to know who you are, if you don't understand that everything in existence is a reflection of you, I don't care if we're talking about the occult or we're talking about cooking in the kitchen. It really ain't no difference. But it all came from you. So get your information, and learn to pay more attention to what you're drawn to, especially if there's no logical explanation. That will come in time. But understand why the magnetism is so strong. Study what you study, regardless of what anyone may have to say about it.
Exactly, exactly. And like everybody here, please go over there and check that out because his library is extensive. Like you said, so for over 4,000 books, PDFs on there, and I got more than enough to study from. And it's good that you helped me though to guide me on which way to go so I'm not overwhelmed and get confused about the information that I'm trying to get into. So I appreciate that you guiding me along with this and helping me to get a better understanding of the information. Because I'm kind of new. I know a little about numbers and values because I started out with the JCN, which was at the time called Jesus Christ Numerology, not being religious or anything else, but it was a database that I could download, and all I had to do was put in any word, phrase, and it will automatically just add it to that database, and I could have my own database that way. I tried to find it again, I couldn't find it anymore, but I liked having that. But that's how I got started, and I would put my name in there or points in time, something I had from a dream, something I seen in a dream, on my children's name, places I lived. And I was amazed each time by how my numbers would align with places I lived. Um, other family members, even my favorite foods. It was like certain things that I was like, wow, I didn't know all these things were relatable just to my birth name or my date of birth. And so um I wanted to learn more. So then I got into after the birthday one online. I sent that to you, Kilelle, the one about you type in your birthday and it give you what tarot card resonates with your birthday or that equals to your birthday. And you sent me also a similar one. But the one I got for my birthday, and I'll put that information in the group. So everything we talk about here, I want you all to have it as well. Um, my birth cards, if anybody's into tarot, for my birthday were the High Priestess and Judgment. So, but I got that. I totally agreed with those two cards. I'm into tarot. I'm into divination practices. So I understood what those two cards meant for me. So I totally agree with that. But I also want to talk about a little bit as we get into it, but I want you to lead that part of it when we talk about when you did my numerical breakdown. It gave me um further insight. It's a lot. I think my grimoire he did from you all is like 117 pages, and it's a lot. And I'm picking it apart little bit by little bit, but I'm starting to understand the numbers because I've been playing with it since he gave it to me to see like even traumatic events in my life. I was starting to see how they were tied to other things that I wasn't really aware of. Like, a karmic friend. I want to say a karmic friend of somebody I was supposed to not be talking to or friends with, and then that time when I was with that friend would show up in my numbers. So I was like, okay, I'm getting there. I'm getting there to understand more how it relates to me in the past, but just knowing me and moving forward, how things balancing out for me. Like even like with my career, what I do for a living showed up in my numbers. So it's good to see that. And when I read some information from the complete book of numbers, the power of numbers, symbols to shape reality, and he was talking about in the beginning um what these numbers meant in the Greek form. And there's one passage here he said, well, the art of interpretation is the key skill necessary to use number symbolism. And I never really, I hadn't thought of numbers as, even though I know this might sound silly, y'all, but I didn't see numbers as a form of symbolism. I don't know, that just didn't, it was so everyday mundane that I didn't think about the numbers are symbols, just like our letters of our name. And then I said, like, okay, how can I, what can I do with this? So as I still learning, I'm still learning Kilelle how the numbers make sense to me that I can use it in a way to better understand my life path and my purpose, right? That's what I'm looking at it for. Is there other things that people may, Kilelle, be using numerology for?
Most definitely. You can use it for literally everything.
Okay.
Um, especially, in terms of astrocartography or geomancy,
Mhm.
understanding where may be best or most beneficial for you to live.
Mhm.
This is actually why travel is always so encouraged, and why, essentially the powers that be, especially around this time, raise gas prices and don't really want to make it easy for you to travel, because it becomes that much easier to manifest and kind of live the life you want to live. Um, and you can also understand why things in your life have been the way that they are, much like some of the examples you gave. So you, for an example, and I want to put everything out there, but you are an 11 master number
Mhm.
life path, right? Well,
Mhm.
one of the things that means is you are a late bloomer, right? So
Mhm.
you come into it, it's kind of like a knowledge spiritual inheritance. You come into this power because, as you can see in your numerology chart summary, um,
Mhm.
two, which is a hidden 11, you actually have that by like 39%. That's a ridiculous amount. So
Okay.
two is the partner, two is femininity, and that is so dualistic, because being an 11 is essentially two of the most aggressive numbers side by side. That's very masculine. Mind you, masculinity is just the aggressive side of the feminine. It only exists here, so that we don't want to get too lost in what we think we are. But representative, this 11 is doubly feminine, because it is the two, it is the partnership, it's about literally what we're doing right now. There's a natural elevation that just comes from being around your energy. Everyone's going to benefit if they are so allowed. But that's something you have to earn. Everybody can't just get that.
Right. Right. And like in my chart, I was able to understand, and it gave me a peace of mind why being in the number 11 was so difficult on a human level, and how was it the troubles with understanding my spiritual self coming here as an 11 and understanding the number 2, how 2 being that it said what I read in the book was that 11 is a higher aspect of 2, still the same, but it's like a higher frequency of 2. I should say that, right? Do you agree with that statement?
Yes, most definitely. It's almost like you're singing and you're going up an octave, right?
Okay.
In
Um,
in some instances it may be down, but typically you're going up, and that becomes more expressive.
Right.
more resonating.
Hmm. See, and that was the issue, that even for the human life and the human aspect, it came off as weird, very different. The way I thought, the way I see things, I never fit in. I do not fit in with family. Um, I was just different. But one that, even though I was so different, it was like I got a lot of attention because of that difference, a lot of attention, and still do. And I think that's because of the 11 aspect of my energy. So like I said, I'm getting to understand it more, and how these numbers equate to who I am and how we see them, so I can have a understanding of how I'm working my numbers in the negative or the positive. And that comes into mind with the other book, The Life You Were Born to Live, because it says if you're working your numbers or you're living your number in a positive or negative. And when I read it in this book, I actually did both. Um, what is your thoughts on that?
I think that is exactly as it should be. We live in duality. The
Mhm.
root of that is dual. So,
Okay.
there's a constant marriage and there's a constant battle. There's a never-ending battle that we call
Mhm.
existence itself. Um,
Mhm.
y- for those who really pay attention, especially those who may journal, um, and I can't recommend that enough, you want to go back and look at your life. You want to see what you were doing, see who you were with, and you can begin to understand why that is from just simply looking at birthdays, just looking at the cycles that you were in, and also understanding who your soulmate and who your enemy energies are.
Mhm.
Much like the zodiac. If you are a Virgo, your opposite or enemy energy would be Pisces, right? So you can understand some extra tension Virgo might be feeling, especially in the last few days, because Saturn went retrograde in Pisces. You see, so we're talking about a backwards looking energy. What
Mm.
does that what does that feel like? That's more people in the Virgo and the Pisces area are going to be, and people who are ruled by Saturn are going to be more sensitive to this energy that we're currently in. Some people are going to go through it. Some people are going to prosper. It's just the cycle. Knowing where you reside in cyclicity is imperative, because other than that, it's kind of like, you're not paying any attention to the weather and you're going for a ride on your motorcycle and it's freezing outside with 30 inches of snow. You need to be paying a little bit more attention to the weather. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
this allows for that. And then what really becomes interesting is you can see how you move in your spirit naturally in some instances, and then you see where you won't over here. This is natural. This is natural. Why is that the way it is? If we're really doing the work to know ourselves, to understand why we are the way we are, and doing this reprogramming, this almost has to be a part of it at some point. You have to be careful, because it is comprehensive. It is deep. It is a lot of information that you can get lost in, especially in terms of the ciphers for every so-called secret society, from the Knights of the Golden Circle to the Freemasons to the Order of the Jesters. Um, every cipher or every group has their own cipher. So
Mhm.
you have simple, which is A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals C, up to Z, which is 26. You have the oldest, which is Sumerian, next to the Chaldean cipher, which goes up to 8. The Sumerian cipher, the derivative is 6. So A is 6, B is 12, C is 18, up to Z, which is 156. So
Mm.
you can understand why the words you're going to get are going to be more like sentences, and they're going to be a lot more descriptive. So, for example, I'm going to use myself. Uh, one of my favorite comics growing up was Sandman.
Mhm.
Sandman is a occult comic written by Alan Moore. Oh, I'm sorry, written by Neil Gaiman. That they turned into a Netflix series back in 2021. Sandman equals 396. Kilelle equals 396.
Mm.
Catfish, one of my favorite foods, equals 396. Women equals 396. Freedom. So you can begin to understand why you gravitate towards certain things because it's literally the same as saying your name. There is no
Mhm.
difference. So understanding, what your points of action are, what your identifiers are, um,
Mhm.
it's imperative because you can invert and flip that power right back as opposed to it being something that is a detriment.
So that made me think about numbers for frequencies, like, the 4482 hertz. Um, you also know the frequency, hertz, if you were looking for something, a meditation frequency for it to work with, you can just look at your chart, look at your numbers, and find which one would work very well for you. Do you agree with that?
Oh, most definitely.
Oh,
Frequency 396 removes fear. That's my name. People,
okay.
and I've noticed, there's um, a few of my students, have done this over the years, and I never suggested it. Some people will get sleep paralysis, right? Sleep
Mhm.
paralysis is essentially your higher self trying to force your spiritual technology to come online. That's really what that is. If you want to see it as a demon or this entity, that's on you. But honestly, whatever works. But what that is, that's you attempting to turn on that spiritual antiquitech. So people
Mhm.
will perhaps call on Jesus, call on certain angels, call on different frequencies, call on ancestors. People have called my name. I don't know
Mm.
where or why or how where that came from, but I've had more than a handful of people do that and free themselves. Now, when I understand that Kilelle is equal to 396, which removes fear, I can begin to understand that.
Mm.
You don't have to consciously know that. And again, you're already all knowing. So it becomes this play between reality and illusion because you have to remember that you already know everything that there is to know. And we're living under
Mm.
this guise of illusion. So why the guise? Why does this still persist? Obviously, we're still trying to learn something. It's much like having a favorite movie.
Mm.
You can just watch it over and over again. You think it's because it's your favorite. You think it's because of nostalgia. You think it's because of the acting or the writing. It's actually because your mind is still trying to figure out a problem that it hasn't figured out yet. Because dreams and movies are no different. They're one and the same.
Okay. Okay. In the book, to follow up on that, in the book, The Life You Were Born to Live, A Guide to Finding Your Life Purpose, it says, for the 2911s, by the way, my birthday, before I read this, but my birthday and my name, it adds up to the same thing. Is that common? Is that everybody?
No, that is not common at all. That is a very, very rare thing. You'll notice you have certain alignments that a lot of people aren't going to have. I'll send you a couple other grimoires because I'm working on
Yeah.
um, political figures and celebrities and things of that nature. They take a little bit more time because real people come first, but that is a very real thing. You can find your sign in your codes. You can find your birth month in your code. Sometimes you'll have the actual day that can be equal to the frequency of your name. And this is
Mm.
why it's so important to know the different ciphers. So, like for example, in your Gematrinator section, you can
Mhm.
see each one of your names and even in its totality all together across every known cipher. So
Mm-hmm.
you can begin to understand why you see certain numbers to the frequency the way you do, why certain numbers may quote unquote follow you the way they do. People are still trying to figure out, so-called angel numbers or Enochian numbers and why they persist or why they show themselves, as opposed to understanding that that's just a point of access for you to do what you want. There's nothing outside of you trying to say, hey, I'm trying to show you something. No, hey, you're a natural God creator who fashioned all of this. What do you want to make something? It's 444. Make it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's, and then you have to reduce at the same time. So now we're talking about the Vedic principle. The Vedic principle is where you reduce. So in the last few decades, we have the master number system, like 11, 22, and 33. That wasn't
Mm-hmm.
always the case, but now it rounds out the numbers similar to the zodiac. You only have 9 numbers, 1 through 9. 0 is not a placeholder. That is a derogatory statement. 0 is the divine portal.
Read that. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I
9,
just read that. Go ahead. Go ahead. I was just saying I just read that.
nice, nice.
Yeah,
Um,
it was in the book, in this book right here. What you just said is in this book, almost verbatim.
indeed, indeed. Um, 9 is a hidden 0 because it hides the true nature of anything you put it next to. So, there's natural formulas um, that we all really already know. We just don't realize that we know it. And again, this goes back to the principle of, people hating math. If you understand that algebra is about finding the unknown, if you understand that trigonometry is about finding the angle or finding the right sacred geometry, you can garner a different perspective that may make it a little bit more attractive, as opposed to just learning this formula for this equation that never going to use in life. That's why many of us had such an issue in school, because I'm never going to get a job where I use this. You know that inherently. You know what I mean? So obviously there has to be something else that's being conveyed here that's very hard to grasp at that age. And that's exactly why they give it to us the way that they give it to us. Or should I say, why we allow them to give it to us in such a way.
Okay. Okay. So I was going to read one of the things that it says about the 11 in the positive aspect is they attract people with their natural charisma and lead by inspiration. That is very true about me. I've always had that, what you want to call. At one time, my supervisor, we had a staff meeting, all campus staff meeting where everybody had to go. And I went to the meeting, and after the meeting, my supervisor, she said, he said, you walk in this room and you have this presence like I'm here. And she said, do you know that? Until then, I wasn't really, I kind of knew what it felt that way, but I had never been told to me that way. And I started paying more attention to um, how I was in group settings. And I understood then too why I had so much negative attention, because how overpowering my energy can be. And plus it don't help, I'm 6 feet. And so sometimes when you walk in somewhere, you just automatically get that attention. But getting that type of attention early in life, because I was 6 feet by the time I was in 8th grade. By the time I was 13, I was already 6 feet. So the attraction and the attention was even it was a lot for a young woman. But anyway, that's the positive aspect that was true. And the negative aspect that I agreed with was lost without a real sense of themselves. They alternate between bouts of fitful energy and periods of collapse, which was very true for me at some points in my life where all I knew was just keep going, keep going, keep going. No matter what was going on, I had a lot of take care of kids, taking care of house, working, whatever it took, take care of my family, sisters, friends, always showing up for them. It was almost always sometimes, and I didn't have enough energy for myself. So definitely did that in a negative. That's basically not having good boundaries and not knowing how to say no. Basically putting into the people pleasing aspect of this would be the negative aspect of me. If I work in the negative of the 11. So I found that to be very interesting and factual that that I learned about the number 11 and how it shows up in my Gematria when that you did for me. Um, it said, oh, I just had it. Anyway, I just had it. I don't know, flip pages over here. But anyway, I did understand why I was able to release some of the tension of frustration with why I had a lot of negative attention. Okay. So thank you for that, giving me that clarity and peace of mind that it wasn't always about someone else. It actually was my energy. You feel me?
Oh, indeed, most definitely. Thank,
Yeah.
thank,
Yeah.
thank you
Because
for.
sometimes you don't understand the energy that you give out. And you wonder why people react to you the way that they do. Now you're not responsible a lot of times for the way a person reacts, but it gives you more understanding and clarity to how you're presented to people and being aware of that energy. I'm so much more aware of my energy than I ever have been in my life. And I'm loving the new me. I really am. And also you talked about in numbers, you talked about the astrological stuff. You decided to do I don't know, it's the Chinese or the Vietnamese zodiac, and I am the wood rabbit, right? And the numbers, I just still can't. When I look at this, I'm still like, what the heck? My favorite colors, my numbers that I always use, whether it's in a password for my kids, they jerseys, they're on here, right? So I thought that was really cool too. So I wanted you to know that there was a correlation with that on my grimoire that you did for me. That the wood rabbit numbers 3, 4, and 9 have been a repetitive thing for me as well.
That's great.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
way it's supposed to be. And you can see, and that's one reason why I use and incorporate so many different systems,
Mhm.
because it can be hard to understand at first. It's very logical here in the West to adopt one mindset and just, okay, this is the formula, we're gonna go with that, as opposed to understanding the spiritual implications of why we're being shown so many different things. I love the example of Dr. York. For anybody
Mhm.
who may be familiar with Dr. York and the Nuwapians, whatever your stance may be on what is purported to have happened, you essentially watch someone go through every system, right, and show you that it was yours. At the end of the day, that's what really counts. So, there is no separation other than where you choose to see it. So when we look at things like teamwork or camaraderie, and we
Mhm.
just can't quite understand why we have an issue with this person, even though there's nothing conscious that tells you I don't like this person or whatever. It's just, it doesn't mesh. You can understand alpha numerically, where 11 is typically going to have an issue depending on the system and depending on the time, depending on the era, with 1 and 9. The 11 is a natural born leader, and they're a reluctant leader, especially earlier in life. But that,
Right.
that, that but that doesn't mean that actual leaders don't recognize you instantly when you walk into a room. Because
Mhm.
on the flip side of that, you'll notice that whether you want to or not, and more often than not, you do not want to. If you are in a meeting, or if you're just in a room with people and something may not necessarily go your way, or you get a call, or just a thought that something may be off or wrong, you will literally drain that room of all of its energy. And
Mhm.
it's nothing that you're doing intentionally, but people will just, are you okay? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
it's a natural thing. So understanding, excuse me, how energy presents itself, and how it's received is so important. And that's, again, just one aspect.
Right. 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 I find that, it is so many ways, like you said, it's so many systems that can be utilized to, but it's, even though different systems, you still kind of come back to the same information, right? Pretty much the same what you understood about yourself. I should put it that way, not the same information, but the in-depth understanding of yourself, no matter what system you use. If I'm using the the um the Gematria, what's the other one that you did on the what's the other system you use for me here?
Cardology.
Yes, the chronology. It still coincides with the rest of the information. It all come together like it just was meant to flow together. That's what I like so much about it. And that's, I think, is this will be beneficial for everybody here to understand how they relate to numbers, because this is something that happens every day, regardless if you're acknowledging it or not, right? Um, are you open to taking questions from the listeners?
Oh, by all means.
Okay, do anybody have any questions? Mr. Alex, do you have any questions?
Nah, I'm good. Just enjoying the conversation and listening. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Legend, do you have any questions?
Same here, sis. Enjoying the lecture.
Uh,
Taking notes.
okay,
Taking notes.
okay, okay. I was trying to see if anybody else, because I had a list of people that was here. I don't see anybody else. Um, yeah, that was no longer here. But any other in-depth information you would like us to know about numbers, about numerology?
I want to thank everyone for being here, for coming, and listening. I greatly appreciate you. Shout out to Legend and Alex.
Okay.
One thing I would like to say, in terms of cardology, and again, one of the main reasons why I create my readings, my grimoires, the way I do, is because I'm more than confident that um, every area is going to resonate, but some are just naturally going to resonate more than others. So I
Mhm.
love the fact of what you said, how, it's essentially, it really is all the same information. It's just coming from a different perspective. It's all saying what is true, just from a different point in time. So when you look at things like cardology, cardology is where the tarot actually comes from. So I utilize the tarot, but I pay a little bit more attention to the science of cardology, um, especially when you understand things like, if we look at quote unquote Black people, indigenous, Moorish, original, whatever term we want to use. When we look at us, one
Mhm.
thing we do, especially today, somebody getting their ass whooping in a spades game. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Somebody playing bid whist, somebody playing poker, somebody playing some cards. You know what I'm saying? And I'm
Mhm.
talking about the most intellectual to the most ignorant of us, the youngest to the oldest. So we gotta
Mhm.
ask, we have to ask, why is that? Because whether we're ignorant or cognizant of this information, we're literally holding on to it in a place where we're almost communing like church. It doesn't get any more sacred than a barbecue where you're feeding people and laughing and joking. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Uh-huh.
So you can understand why certain auspices are still so powerful. We to the point we don't even question it. So cardology is like, you took the tarot and numerology and they had a love child. That's cardology. And it makes it
Okay.
very simple. Not to say that the tarot is complicated. The
Mhm.
tarot can be complicated, especially to people new to it, because there are millions of decks, there are millions of essential systems. There's much like movies. There's 20 new every week, so it can be very intimidating.
Mhm.
Um, and there's different, grand arcana numbers and things of that nature, as opposed to cardology, where you have one set science. So I recommend utilizing all of these. Play around with it and see what resonates with you. Something has to, but be careful because you might fuck around and all of it might. And that's really what we're going for, because again, all of this is you.
Yes, it is. I love tarot. I love tarot. Okay, see over here. I have a lot of cards, but I think I got like maybe almost 100 cards. But I also like Lenormand. I don't know if you're into Lenormand, um, but it also deals with a lot of numerology and numbers and understanding the numbers, but can correlate back with tarot if you wanted it to, but it doesn't have to. And so this is just one other form of working with numbers and numerology that I love so much. I usually correlate this back to tarot, but I know a lot of people don't. They just use um the playing card method with this instead of tarot. Okay. So are you familiar with Lenormand?
I I am, in theory. I was just reading about that in a very old cardology book, the Mystic textbook.
Okay.
So I've seen it mentioned. What's interesting about it is it really is another example of what I just said, of the ability to take more than one system and merge them,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you'll be surprised how they'll actually correlate. And then to people who are really, about that life, to people who are really alchemists and studiers, better than most. And Visa, you actually know this better than most. Um, you know that the more you play around, the more you compare these things that are supposed to be so contradictory, the more magic you'll actually find, because you'll see the correlations that you aren't supposed to see. And that's again where the real magic is. So you want to play around. Remember, if you're an occult scientist, you got to experiment. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Well, that's the main thing about this working with these numbers and being introduced to it again like this with you, and getting me more interested into learning how my numbers correlate to my life purpose, and to get like it helped me with like moving, like what would be the best place for me to move to and things like that. So I appreciate all your help in helping me to understand more about me, my numerical breakdown in myself, or my numerical breakdown in you, or your numerical breakdown in you, I should say. For everybody who's listening, um, please get with Brother Kilelle on his platform, and he has a plethora of information. He's always posted in the group too. So, does anyone else? Are you sure you don't have any questions for Brother Kilelle? Alex, a legend.
Alex. Yeah, I thought I heard two books. One was The Life You Were Born to Live. Was there another book title?
Yes, the complete book of numbers, the power of number symbology, the book of number symbols to shape reality. I'm gonna post it in the group.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
I'm gonna post it in the group and links in the group so y'all can have everything that we discussed there. Kilelle can post his name and his group to the inside the group too, so everybody can have the information. Okay.
Beautiful. Any chance this will be available for like download, or will it be recorded, I guess?
Kilelle?
What I believe will happen is this should be available in your channel, um,
Okay.
and it should be downloadable.
Awesome.
Because what I was going to do, I was going to take it and post it on my YouTube. I should be able to post it on Facebook and Instagram as well. But I'm not exactly sure how long it takes to quote unquote settle after it's done. But this should be recorded and it should be available here first and foremost. Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. Thank you both so much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for being here.
Hey, happy to be here.
Thank you so much for doing this with me, Kilelle. You know I appreciate you. beyond the moon and back. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I thank you everybody for coming and getting this started with me. I'm looking forward to everybody else coming up. I mean, we got some excellent guys, y'all. I've learned so much from these men, all this masculine energy that I've been dealing with. It's been helping me out a lot, actually. So I really appreciate you all. And we'll be doing this again. We'll be back on the 6th with Brother Mental. So check back on the flyer. Everything's going to be posted in the group. And I hope to see you all again soon. Any closing remarks, Brother Kilelle?
I want to say sincerely thank you again for the honor. It is truly, truly world shaking to be present with you in this energy, in this space.
Thank
I
you.
truly hope everyone enjoyed and they like and they share and they continue to check in. Please get Brother Mental's book. Check out his Overstanding Darkness. Check out his YouTube, his podcast with the brother. Please forgive me. What is the other brother's name who joins Mental?
Jazz.
Jazz. Please forgive me for forgetting your name, brother. I love the chemistry that you have and how openly you converse in front of the world. That is needed. Shout out to Legend, OG. Greatly appreciate you. Shout out to Alex for your comments and questions, and everybody who will be listening. Check out the Mystery Arcade Occult Multiversity on Patreon and YouTube. Anybody who's in need of any kind of literature, you know, you'll notice I don't push my readings. I don't do this for money. You know, word of mouth is priceless, but you can learn to do this yourself. You know, I will give you a myriad of books, hundreds of numerology books alone, or whatever you may be into, but utilize your science. Please pay attention to what you're drawn to and begin to understand why, because it will make this place that much better for the rest of us. Love, peace, and power. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I will see you all on the 6th. Later.
All right.
All right.